I used to work the graveyard shift at a gas station just off I-95 in Florida. It was a tedious job, the kind that eats away at your sleep schedule until you feel like a ghost in your own life. 90% of the time, I was just stocking shelves, mopping floors under the buzzing fluorescent lights, or scrolling through my phone until my eyes blurred. The only customers you get between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. are cops looking for coffee, truckers looking for diesel, or drunks looking for trouble. It was a Tuesday night, raining hard. The storm had turned the world outside the glass walls into a pitch-black void. The only thing visible was the relentless water hammering against the pavement. The store was empty. I was behind the counter reading a magazine, trying to ignore the smell of 3-hour-old hot dogs rolling on the grill. The electronic chime on the door dinged, piercing the silence. It signaled someone had walked in. I looked up. A man in a soaking wet gray hoodie walked in. He didn't look up at me. He didn't shake off the rain or stomp his feet on the mat. He just walked straight to the back of the store where the drink coolers are, trailing water. His clothes were heavy, sagging off his frame, dripping a dark, jagged path on the beige tiles. I went back to reading, waiting for him to bring a soda to the counter. The hum of the refrigerators was the only sound in the room. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The hair on the back of my neck began to prickle. I looked up at the security monitor. The feed was grainy, black and white static cutting through the image. The man was standing in front of the glass door of the cooler, but he wasn't looking at the drinks. He was facing the corner of the store, nose almost touching the wall, just standing perfectly still. I watched the time code on the monitor tick away. Seconds bled into minutes, but he didn't shift an inch. He hadn't even blinked. Humans possess a natural sway, a micro movement even when standing still, just to keep balance. But he had none. He looked like a mannequin abandoned in the aisle. "Sir, can I help you find something?" I called out. My voice sounded too loud in the empty store. He didn't move. He didn't even flinch. I started getting that creepy feeling in my gut, primitive instinct telling me I was in a cage with a predator. I picked up the store phone and held it, my thumb hovering over the keypad, ready to dial 911. "Sir, I need you to buy something or leave. I'm closing the register for maintenance in 5 minutes." Slowly, the man turned around. The movement was rigid, mechanical. He was pale, almost gray, and his eyes were incredibly wide, like he was forcing his eyelids open with invisible hooks. But the worst part was his smile. It was a fixed, ear-to-ear grin that didn't look natural. It stretched the skin of his cheeks too tight, exposing too many teeth. It looked painful. He began to walk toward the counter. He didn't walk normally. He took long, exaggerated strides, lifting his knees high and slamming his wet boots on the linoleum. Stomp, stomp, stomp. It was rhythmic and violent, like a child mimicking how they think an angry giant walks. He stopped right in front of the counter. The plexiglass barrier, installed during COVID and never removed, was the only thing between us. I could smell him now. He didn't smell like rain. He smelled like ozone and stagnant swamp water. "Can I get a pack of Marlboro Reds?" he asked. His voice didn't match his body. It was incredibly high-pitched, almost cartoonish, like a helium intake or a bad pre-recorded message. My hands were shaking as I grabbed the cigarettes from the rack. I fumbled, nearly dropping the pack. "That'll be $8.50. He reached into his pocket. Instead of a wallet, he pulled out a handful of wet dirt and slammed it onto the counter. It hit with a wet thwack. "Keep the change," he giggled. The sound was wet, bubbling up from his throat. Then his expression changed instantly. The smile dropped. His face went blank, dead serious, the muscles going totally slack. He leaned in close to the glass, his breath fogging the barrier, his eyes drilling into mine. "You have very pretty skin," he whispered. The high pitch was gone, replaced by a gravelly rasp. "It fits you well." My blood ran cold. The way he said, "fits you," like it was a suit I was wearing, made me nauseous. I backed away, knocking over a display of gum. "Get out! I'm calling the police right now." He didn't argue. The smile snapped back into place, wider than before, impossibly wide. He turned and marched out of the store, disappearing into the rain and the darkness. I locked the front doors immediately, my fingers trembling so hard I could barely turn the deadbolt. I called the cops. They patrolled the area but didn't find anyone matching his description. They told me it was probably just a junkie coming down from a bad trip. I thought that was the end of it, until my shift ended at 7 a.m. The rain had stopped, leaving a gray, heavy mist over the parking lot. I walked out to my car, which was parked around the side of the building near the dumpsters. It was a blind spot from the store windows. As I got in and started the engine, the heater kicked on, blasting warm air against the windshield. As the glass cleared, I noticed something in the condensation. Someone had drawn a smiley face on the glass. My heart hammered against my ribs. I reached out to wipe it away, but my finger slid across dry glass. It wasn't on the outside of the windshield, it was on the inside. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The air in the car suddenly felt suffocatingly small. I whipped my head around, checking the back seat, empty. I checked my doors, unlocked. I must have forgotten to lock my car when I arrived at work the night before. I looked back at the windshield. Underneath the smiley face, written in the dust on my dashboard, was a single word etched by a fingertip: soon. I froze, staring at the letters. The dust was still settling. I quit that job the same day. I didn't even put in a notice. I just left my vest on the counter and walked out. I moved apartments 2 months later, breaking my lease. I don't know who that man was, or how long he sat in my back seat while I was working inside, watching me through the windows, waiting for me to come out. But I know one thing. I never leave my car unlocked anymore, not even for a second. And every time it rains, I check the back seat before I get in. I worked as a delivery driver for a local pizza place during my junior year of college. It wasn't glamorous, but the tips were decent, especially on weekends. Our zone was massive, covering both the suffocatingly dense campus area and the wealthy suburbs, which were swallowed up by miles of thick, encroaching woods. This happened on a Thursday night in late October. It was nearing closing time, about 11:15. The store had been dead for an hour. My manager, Dave, was already counting down the drawer. I was out back, spraying down the insulated bags, ready to clock out. Then the phone rang. Dave groaned. "All right, last one of the night," he yelled. "It's a big one, 5 pies and 3 2-liters. When I looked at the slip, my stomach turned. The address was way out on Elm Ridge Road. That area is practically in the sticks, massive estates set far back from the street, separated by dense forest, with 0 streetlights. It was a 20-minute drive, meaning I wouldn't be seeing my bed until after midnight. The special instructions read, "Garage side door is open. Please leave food on the table inside the mudroom. Do not knock, baby sleeping." It was weird, sure, but rich people have weird requests. I didn't think twice. The drive was brutal. A cold rain had started, slicking the winding roads with wet leaves. By the time I turned onto Elm Ridge, I hadn't seen another pair of headlights for 10 minutes. I found the house number painted on a mailbox at the end of a long, gravel driveway. As I pulled up, the house loomed against the skyline like a dark skeleton. It was a sprawling Victorian mansion, pitch black. Not a porch light, not a window glow, just a massive shadow against the gray sky. I parked my rusted Civic near the detached garage. I grabbed the heavy bags, struggling with the weight of 5 pizzas and the rolling soda bottles. I walked around to the side. Sure enough, a plain white door stood slightly ajar. I nudged it open with my foot and stepped inside. The mudroom was a small, suffocating box. It smelled intensely of gasoline and old fertilizer. The only light came from my car's headlights, slicing through the rain behind me. Inside, there was just a wooden bench and a folding table. I stepped fully in to set the bags down. Click. The sound was like a gunshot in the silence. I spun around. The door behind me, the exit, had swung shut. I dropped the bags and grabbed the knob. It wouldn't turn. It was a heavy-duty exterior lock, the kind that snaps into place the second it closes. "Hey!" I yelled, banging on the wood. "I'm locked in. Is anyone home?" Silence. Just the rain drumming on the roof. I turned back to the interior. On the opposite wall was another door leading into the main house. It had a large panel of frosted glass in the upper half. I walked over and knocked on the glass. "Hello? Pizza delivery? I'm stuck in the mudroom." I waited. Nothing. Then a shape rose behind the frosted glass. Someone was standing right there. "Hello?" I said, relief washing over me. "Sorry to bother you, the door locked behind me. Can you let me out?" The figure didn't open the door. They didn't speak. They just stood there, a blurred, gray silhouette pressed against the glass. Then slowly, the face pressed closer to the frosting. The features were smashed and distorted, but I could see it wasn't a mother. It was a man, older, balding. He wasn't looking at me with confusion. He was smiling, a slow, deliberate, terrifying grin that stretched too wide across his face. He raised a hand and tapped a single finger against the glass. Tap, tap, tap. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a customer. This was a spider, and I was the fly. "Open the door!" I shouted, my voice cracking. The man's smile widened. He reached down and held something up to the glass, a large roll of silver duct tape. In his other hand, he raised a long, jagged hunting knife. He pointed the knife at me, then pointed to the floor of the mudroom. He mouthed a single word I couldn't hear, but I understood perfectly. "Down." Then he reached for the deadbolt on his side of the door. He wasn't letting me out. He was coming in. I didn't think. Instinct took the wheel. I knew if that inner door opened, I was never leaving this room. I spun around to the locked outer door. It had a small square window near the top. I grabbed a 2-liter soda bottle from the bag. I swung it like a club, screaming as I smashed it against the glass. The window shattered outward into the night. Behind me, the deadbolt clacked open. The knob began to turn. I shoved my arm through the broken window. Jagged shards sliced into my forearm, but I didn't feel it. I fumbled desperately for the exterior knob. The inner door creaked open behind me. I could hear his wet, raspy breathing. "Where you going, boy?" A voice chuckled right at my ear. A hand clamped onto the back of my jacket. I found the knob, twisted it, and threw my entire body weight against the door. I tumbled out onto the wet gravel, the jacket tearing free from his grip. I scrambled to my car, slipping on the wet stones, gasping for air. I didn't look back. I dove into the driver's seat, locked the doors, and reversed down that driveway at 40 miles an hour. I drove straight to the police station, shaking so hard I could barely steer, blood from my arm soaking the upholstery. The police went out in force. The house was empty. It was a foreclosure, vacant for 6 months. The man was gone. In the mudroom, the pizzas were untouched, but on the floor, they found a sleeping bag, a propane heater, and a notebook filled with frantic, handwritten notes. The detective wouldn't show me the notebook, but he looked pale when he told me about the phone. The call hadn't come from the house. It was a burner phone, found smashed in the woods. They analyzed the call log. He hadn't just called us. He had called 4 other delivery places in the hour before he called me. Chinese, subs, another pizza joint. They were all busy or closed. I wasn't chosen. I was just the first one who picked up the phone. I've been a long-haul truck driver for about 10 years. You see a lot of weird things on the road. Accidents, drunk drivers, strange lights in the sky. But nothing scared me enough to make me consider quitting my job, except for one night in rural Nevada. It was 3 a.m. I was hauling a load of timber from Oregon down to Arizona. I had been driving on the interstate for hours, fueled by bad coffee and podcasts. There was an accident ahead that had the highway completely gridlocked, so my GPS suggested a detour. Usually I stick to the main roads, but I was exhausted and just wanted to make time, so I took the exit. The detour led me onto a 2-lane state highway that stretched into the pitch-black desert. There were no streetlights, no houses, just the endless reach of my high beams cutting through the dark. I didn't see another car for 45 minutes. Eventually, the road began to wind through a canyon area with high rock walls on either side. As I came around a sharp bend, I had to slam on my brakes. There was a sedan parked horizontally across both lanes of the road, completely blocking the path. I stopped my rig about 50 feet away. My first instinct was that it was a breakdown or a crash. I blasted my air horn, expecting someone to wave or move. Nothing. The sedan sat there, lights off, engine dead. I grabbed my heavy flashlight and the tire iron I keep under my seat. Trucker rule number 1, never get out unarmed in the middle of nowhere. I cracked my door open and yelled, "Hey, you need help?" Silence. I climbed down from the cab. The desert air was freezing. As I walked closer to the sedan, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. It's that primal instinct telling you that you are being hunted. I shined my light into the sedan's windows. It was empty. No driver, no passengers. But the keys were in the ignition, and there was a child's car seat in the back. That's when I heard the whistle. It came from the darkness of the rocky cliffs above me. It was a sharp, piercing whistle. Then another one from the left side of the road. Then a third from behind me, near my truck. I wasn't alone. I was surrounded. I spun around, shining my light back toward my truck. I saw a figure sprinting from the shadows of the canyon wall toward my cab door, my open cab door. Adrenaline dumped into my system. I didn't think, I just ran. I'm a big guy, not a runner, but fear makes you fast. The figure was trying to get into the driver's seat to either steal the truck or wait for me. I reached the cab just as the man was climbing up the steps. I swung the tire iron with everything I had. It connected with his shoulder with a sickening crunch. He screamed, a sound that echoed off the canyon walls and fell backward onto the asphalt. "Get him!" a voice screamed from the darkness. Rocks started hitting the pavement around me. I scrambled up into the cab, locked the doors, and released the parking brake. The man I hit was crawling away, clutching his arm. 2 other men emerged from the darkness in front of the truck, holding what looked like machetes or pipes. They charged at the windshield. I didn't wait. I slammed my foot on the gas. I couldn't go forward because of the sedan blocking the road. I had to throw the 18-wheeler into reverse. I reversed that massive rig faster than I ever have in my life, tires screeching, while these guys chased me on foot. I reversed for probably a quarter mile until I found a spot wide enough to do a 3-point turn. As I swung the headlights back around, I saw them standing in the distance, just watching me leave. I drove back to the interstate and waited in the traffic jam. I reported it to the highway patrol. They found the sedan later. It had been reported stolen 2 days prior. The cops told me it's a tactic gangs use in remote areas. Block the road, ambush the driver, steal the cargo, and leave the driver for dead in the desert. If I hadn't taken that tire iron with me, or if I had been 5 seconds slower running back to my truck, I would just be another missing person poster at a truck stop.